Moving on from Disney Infinity, we're going to move next into Disney Fantasia Music Evolved. Disney's Fantasia Music Evolved won the Best of E3 award at E3, and is a very interesting game. It comes from Harmonix, who are the makers of Rock Band, and Fantasia Music Evolved takes a fresh look at how the music game is played. I also asked if there was going to be any differences between the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One game, which is exclusive to the Xbox, and they said there would be slight differences in gameplay, particularly because the Xbox One, their Kinect, is much more responsive than the Xbox 360. Fantasia Music Evolved is due to be released in spring of 2004, and like I said, is available exclusively on Xbox 360 and Xbox One. Now, we not only had a chance to watch the game being played, but I also had a chance to try it out. I was able to play on the development version of the Xbox One, so there were a lot of glitches and a couple freeze-ups, but it's a very interesting game. Here's a little synopsis of it. In Fantasia, you are the apprentice to the Sorcerer Yensid. As his apprentice, you oversee a number of worlds. During my demonstrations, we had access to two worlds, the Shoal and the Press. The Shoal is a sea environment, and the Press is a kind of a press printing company or warehouse. Your tool is a little spot called a muse, and you're able to control that muse using the Kinect and your hand motions. So you move your hand up, the muse moves up. Move your hand forward, and it actually moves into the background of the screen there. So you're able to move him three-dimensionally. As you enter each world, you're given a 360-degree access to those new worlds. You use your muse to activate various interactive elements in that world, such as a seahorse merry-go-round in the Shoal. As you take your muse around it, it lights up, and you spin your hand, and it begins to spin like a merry-go-round. You're able to activate. It's kind of like the best way to describe it is, you're in the movie Sorcerer's Apprentice. You have a lifeless broom there, and you start waving your muse around, and the broom lights up and comes to life. And that's what you do in these interactive environments. Now, as you're interacting, song portals show up, and this is where the game really begins. In the main demonstration, we were treated to Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody. The music starts, and you're transported into the artistic view of a song. You see arrows and tiny muses acting as timing points. When the muse hits the beginning of the arrow, you move your arms in that direction. And just like Rock Band, if you hit it at the right moment, the song plays clearly, and if you miss it, various elements of that song drops out. So you have to show a little bit of skill while conducting these songs. While you're moving in hands, it does appear that you are conducting songs, just like the Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey Mouse did in the movie Fantasia. The skill level required is dependent on the song choice made at that point. The faster that you have to conduct and the number of arm movements you have to use dictates the skill level required to play that game. So some songs will have fewer arm movements, other songs will have a lot of arm movements, and a lot of variety in those arm movements. As you're conducting, you are given choices to make, and these choices affects the way the song is mixed. For example, you can choose how the percussion plays out during a certain section, or more specifically, what kind of percussion you use. Will you decide to use orchestral percussion, band percussion, or electronic drums? Those choices now remixes and gives you a different take on each of those songs. An example that we got was in Bruno Mars' song Locked Out of Heaven. You can choose the style of microphone he sings through, whether it's an old-time radio giving a little twang to it, or a really clear microphone. Those choices gives you a very, like I said, allows you to remix these songs and play it in a way that you never heard before. Another challenge is to build a cube or a pyramid using your hand motions. Once that's completed, you now have the means to mix the song by controlling the volume of the song and the pitch of the song. Similarly, it's how a conductor would conduct an orchestra. Basically, you're getting to score the song in this game. Now, each song does have points. I think I scored around 50,000 points. But then when I asked about the relevance of the score, the representative said that they weren't sure how it'd be used, and it'll probably be decided on later on. Now, once the song is completed, you have successfully mixed an entire song, whether it be Bohemian Rhapsody, Bruno Mars' Locked Out of Heaven, or whatever. When you return to the world, each song is tied to an element. In the case of Bohemian Rhapsody, it was tied to a turtle out in the shoal. That turtle is now colorful, and every time you get near that turtle, it begins playing that musical score that you just created. One interesting note is the difficulty in finding songs. Disney and Harmonix has to not only gain rights to use the songs that they use, but then they have to have the rights to remix it, which makes the choice of songs somewhat limited. And so it'll be interesting to see what songs will be available when Fantasia Music Evolved launches. Here are the songs that we know about, though. Avicii's Levels, Bruno Mars' Locked Out of Heaven, the band Fun with Some Nights, Kimbra and Settle Down. From the movie Fantasia, you'll get to conduct The Night on Bald Mountain, and as you're hearing now, Queen, the Bohemian Rhapsody. Let me tell you a little about what I thought. Disney's Fantasia Music Evolved won Best of E3 award, and unlike Rock Band, where you compete and score points based on the accurate way you play your instrument, in Music Evolved, these points are less important. What is important is the ability to create music and create music in your own way, and to unlock your creativity. You're allowed to take popular songs, remake it with the wave of your hand, and the choices you make are choices that are personal to you. There's no judgment there. Whatever you decide is right, and whatever you wind up at the end is something that you created and is your artwork, which is pretty cool. All in all, it's a fun game, and if they push out enough songs that I'm interested in, I can see myself playing this for a while. But at the same time, you really have to buy into this concept. I mean, there was something about playing Rock Band, playing the drums, playing a guitar, and really feeling like you're part of a band. In this one, you're just being creative, which is a new muscle you have to play and may not be interesting to some other people. But with that, you're able to share this world that you're creating in each of those lands, and you're going to be able to share it with friends.